can't live by bread alone. Yeah, this word got food in it. Stepping on the devil dome, you should see the bruise in it. Backing out the scripts, told a demon to stand down. Go against the Most High, we gon' see how it pan out. The Father gave me hope, fill me with the ghosts. Now they hate it when I glow. Joseph with the coat, looking for their fruit, but they ain't got no cantaloupe. The Messiah over Lyo, you can't be a fan of both. Can't serve two masters. Bread of heaven with the living water, yeah, serving up a truth platter. We ain't idolizing no folly, no, we setting up a new standard. When Christ touched down, make the whole earth shake like Bruce Banner. Yeah, bringing them troops to ya. End times getting spookier, warfare getting nuclear, mankind getting goofier. They intoxicated with a wine, damn, she done roofied them. I'm checking every word, spirit doctrine like a proofreader. I hate these Nicolatans, hate these graven idols, man, I hate these flipping pagans. Try to play my father and I hate these imitations. Screaming out Hosanna, we escape that simulation. Better flee to me, vote these or else that lake is where you laying. Great is he inside of me, casting out this net like I was by the Sea of Galilee. Harvest gon' be plenty, but the laborers are few. Matthew 17 and 20, there ain't nothing we can't do. I can't be no lukewarm, fringes with the blue on. Devil wanna deal, but I told him this ain't Groupon. Praise to the Almighty, you know we gon' sing a new song. Hail the King of King, the ultra low, no Jimmy Neutron. If you keep his laws and his commands, then we can fellowship. I don't get with Pharisees and I don't rock with Hellenists. I ain't praising man, cause only Father get my reverence. I'm swimming in the word, it got me feeling like a yellowfin. Yeah, big stepper, Mr. Demon Chin Checker, trying to hear that well done, cause I feel that displeasure. Father pouring out the wrath, and he got a big measure. If it ain't about the kingdom, then I don't give a six letter. You got faith in the Messiah, you got power. I was clean up in that blood just like a shower. Isaiah 5, you were the vine that came on sour, but now we stand and giving glory in this hour. Yeah, we breaking them curses, fleeing the ways of the serpent. Follow his word and pray for discernment, cause they want us laying in hearses. We gotta rise up, raise and resurface, choose life and stay in your purpose. The price was paid like a merchant, through Christ who came as a servant. See, the kingdom is ready to bag, but yet somehow they chasing a Birkin. After this you ain't getting a chance, while you living you can't better search him. Gotta call on his name like his urchin, never knowing that day is emerging. So repent at the weight of perversions, judgment coming, that thing is for certain. Let's go.
Shalawam, Shalawam family. First and foremost, I'm going to give all praises, all glory, and all honor to the Most High God, whose name is YAHAWAH. Of course, I do so in the name of his only begotten Son, Matawathya Yasharahla, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. It's your brother Shar Ahrayahla. And getting ready to have a dialogue with the brother Mordachai. The brother Mordachai, he should be joining us very, very shortly. See him right here in the back. I'm about to bring you on in a second, Mordachai. Right. Make sure you guys like the video. Make sure you guys share the video. Right. This should be a very interesting conversation between me and the brother Mordachai, who has boots on the ground, not actual boots, but he's literally in the land of Israel right now as we speak. So I'm gonna bring the brother on in just a second. And like I said, make sure you like, share, right, subscribe if you're new to the channel, right. And let's dive into this conversation. All right. So give me 1 second. Mordachai, what's going on, brother?
What's going on? Can you hear me okay?
Loud and clear. What's going on, man? How you safe? You good?
Hey, man. Like, last week, this week, it was a little bit better, but last week, Shabbat, I was out, I'm on my balcony right now. I'm on lookout right now, but, there was literally suicide drones that were coming down, right directly towards where I'm at right now. And I was like, man, they're going to shoot it down. It just kept going.
Mm-hmm.
And right as it reached like maybe like 100, maybe 20, 30 meters from where I'm at right now, I see a F-13 fly out of the sky, an Israeli jet, boom, shoot.
Oh, he just, dang. We'll get the brother back on. I would assume that the Wi-Fi out there is probably real wonky right now. So, okay. Hey, what's going on, buddy?
Yeah, I apologize. Since the war happened, the Wi-Fi has been like very weak. I mean, I think maybe some places may even, I don't know, but it's been a problem since the war started. So if I drop off, I'm gonna come right back.
Okay, I figured that was what was going on, man. So you were saying that there was a F-13 that shot it out the sky, and you witnessed this in real life.
Yeah, I'm saying like I thought I was supposed to be dead. Like, I mean, this is literally coming directly towards me. I'm in Jerusalem, bro. Like, this is like drones. Like, this is a real thing. Ballistic missiles are a real thing. And not only me, they're, in terms of the African American population here, the highest percentage of African Americans living outside of America per capita live in Israel, right? So when you hear about Dimona, and you hear about not just Dimona, but Dimona is a big part of that percentage. They're being targeted right now. They're being targeted by Iran. They're being targeted in those areas. I personally think it's racially motivated, but they're saying there's nuclear sites or whatever. But the point is just saying that that's happening, and it's a diverse experience of people. It's not just a Jewish thing, but it's a human thing, and living here in Israel. So people's lives are on the line. It's happening.
Absolutely, yeah. So how long have you lived in Israel?
I've been here since 2016.
Oh, you've been there for quite some time. So every time that we spoke, whether it be on Clubhouse or whatnot, in Israel.
Yep,
wow.
Every time.
So you have your citizenship there?
No, not a citizen. I'm in resident. I'm a resident.
Okay. And your wife,
Yeah.
is she a citizen as well, or she's a resident?
I mean, right now, like we separated, and we're not together. But my ex was a citizen. Yeah.
Okay. Is she safe?
Yeah.
Your wife was
Yeah. She's
Latina, right? Your ex was Latina, right?
Yeah. Her dad. Yeah.
Okay. Got you. Yeah, man. I'm glad that you're safe, man. Do you have plans of getting up on out of there, or what?
No, I mean it's a privilege to be here in the Holy Land. A lot of the things a lot of what you see happening is it's in many ways like it's a creation of a new world. I mean, there are aspects of prophecy that are involved in this, and Israel is being victorious. So it's a privilege to be here. Yes, it is dangerous. Our lives are on the line, but that's part of what it is to be a Jew, in this world until Mashiach comes.
Gotcha. So speaking of prophecy, I definitely want to dive into that aspect of everything that's going on.
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer in biblical prophecy. The Most High said, if I'm not mistaken, through the prophet Habakkuk, that the vision is yet for an appointed time, right? Though it may tarry, wait for it, because it shall surely come to pass, right? So everything that the Most High God has spoken through the mouth of his prophets either has come to pass already or will come to pass in their appointed season, right? So I wholeheartedly believe that everything that's going on right now with this war is in alignment with biblical prophecy. Meaning you and I, our understanding and view on said prophecy, that may be some difference, and that's why this conversation is quite interesting, right? So let me actually let's pull up the Tanakh in just a second. Where we at? Okay. Boom, boom. All right. So let me share my screen really quickly. All right.
Are you guys praying for all the all the people here in Israel? Are you guys praying for us? When you guys are there?
Listen. I want to say everyone there. All right, my prayers would be for our people that are there, not for everyone there, right? And the reason why is, and we're going to get to it in just a second, right? So I think I want to start here with Jeremiah, the 30th chapter, right? Jeremiah, obviously one of the four major prophets. He saw a lot, and his
Yep.
prophecies, we've seen come to pass, and there's ones that are yet to be fulfilled. So there's obviously a deliverance of from captivity that the Most High God gives to the children of Israel that we see goes all the way back to even Torah, right? So, for instance, in Deuteronomy the 30th chapter, it says, "It shall come to pass, and all these things come upon you, the blessings and the curse that I've set before you, that then you will return to the voice of the Lord your God and keep His commandments, you and your children, and then the Lord will turn thy captivity and bring you back to the land." Right. So I want to start here. I'll start here, verse 4. It says, "And these are the words that the Lord spake concerning Israel and concerning Judah." Right. So we see clearly a differentiation between northern kingdom and southern kingdom. Would you agree?
All right, go ahead. Yeah.
I'm asking, would you agree?
Well, I mean, I'm just saying a key point, and as we go forward in this dialogue, is that the school of thought that I come from and the school of thought you come from are different, as you stated. But I want to be more specific. What that means is that when you read the Torah and you see the words, and how you define those words is different than how I define those words, right? So for me, you're saying northern southern could mean many things, from my school of thought, right? So just understand that, yes, maybe your definitions and my definitions coincide, and there's chances are that a lot of them don't coincide, hence the fact that we have ideological differences. But I just want to understand that the way you understand the Torah and the way I understand the Torah are different. So when you ask me, is this mean southern and northern? Okay, I can agree with you on a certain level, but it's not limited to what we agree upon it. And I think that's an important to set as a premise.
Okay, not a problem. Now, for the record, we're not even in the Torah. We're in the Nevi'im right now. We're in the prophets. But so in the prophets, right, especially post, Solomon, when you see Israel and Judah mentioned side by side, would you agree that that's talking about the northern kingdom of Israel and the southern kingdom of Judah?
I mean, from my perspective, Yehuda means a specific thing, and Israel means also a specific thing, and they also have spiritual expressions as well, right? So they could work in conjunction, and when they're not working in conjunction, then there's problems in the world.
Okay, so who is Yehuda?
Yehuda is in the frame of like say, like, if you could see like the whole world. The world is like, say, like me and you both have a soul, right? And we both have a body, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a spiritual aspect to our existence that we can't necessarily see, and then there's a physical aspect of our existence, right? That's the same thing of all creation, right? So everything that we see around us has a physical aspect, but there's a spiritual, there's an energy connected to that. So Israel represents energy, right? From Jacob, like he represents the tribes, the energy, but ultimately the manifestation of redemption is going to come through the tribe of Yehuda, right? So Yehuda is a vessel. That's where King David and the Mashiach is going to come from that lineage. So he represents the vessel of the receiving of Israel. So, like, I could go in your discourse and say Southern Northern Kingdom, but even Northern represents something, even Southern represents something, right? So I could go along with it. I'm just saying I'm not limited to your definitions. That's the only point I want to say.
Okay, so interesting, right? It's funny you say that, because I want to read right here, Habakkuk chapter 2. I briefly mentioned it. It says, "And the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie, though it tarry. Word tarry means to wait. It says wait for it, because it will surely come to pass. It will not tarry. Behold, his soul, which is lifted up, is not upright in him, but the just shall live by his faith. Right? When it says that, there is one, right, whose soul is lifted up and it's not upright, right? It's not righteous, right? If I'm not mistaken, I believe this word is Yashar, right? The Hebrew word Yashar, or Yashar, right? It means just, upright. Okay. So clearly there are certain groups of people have an upright soul or spirit, or whether you want to interchange them or not, and others don't. So can anyone of any racial group have the soul of Israel, as you say, or the soul of Yehuda, as you say?
So I think this is a very important point of discourse, because, like, I, as far as what I understand, like, you're an educated person, you went to university, the whole thing. Now the challenge is that the university and the academic system that we live in functions in a philosophical approach where they completely deny the fact that we have souls, right? And their understanding of the virtue of man comes from a Greek philosophical approach, which is the virtue of man is based off of his statesmanship and his engagement in society and his virtuousness with his fellow common man or whatnot. But the Eastern, the understanding of our ancestors was like, no, it's the opposite. That we are a soul that comes from the heavens, that enters a body, that comes into this reality for a series of corrections to perfect the soul's relationship with God, right? So we come in the world for that particular reason. So when we analyze the Torah, if we analyze the Torah from the perspective of externalities, right, which is how we were taught in a secular system, which is like, okay, so let's talk about race, let's talk about ethnicity, let's talk about color, that, because I was educated to see reality from the perspective of without having a soul. But if I understood reality from the frame of having a soul, then I would say, like, oh, well, from that case, I mean, what does it matter what person's skin tone or where they're from? It's about their soul, and the soul has a continuance even past this lifetime, and the body is just a garment, right? It's not Adam. Adam is not the skin. Adam is the ruach, right? It's the soul. It's the aspect. So my point is saying that when we analyze the Torah and we look at externalities of human beings, we're buying into the Asavian system that wants to deny the inner aspects of man's spirituality, meaning that the like it's a European Western understanding of life, right? This is what the Greeks believed, this is what the Romans believed. That's why they were all into working out and having muscles and external and philosophy. And many of the Greeks were homosexual, And I'm not trying to diss anybody. I'm just saying they had a different approach to reality because they saw everything from externalities. But when you bring the soul as the basis of reality, then the skin tone, skin complexion, race, and all those things, or even geographics, don't really matter as much.
So I hear you, right? And I was trekking with you in the beginning, right? I'm not into philosophy, right? No, philosophy goes back to that Greek word, Sophia, which means wisdom, and philo, which means love, right? The wisdom of the goyim, right? It's not wisdom, right? We're told in the Torah that our wisdom and understanding is the Torah, the laws of God, right? In the sight of the nations, who shall see us keeping them, right? And they'll say, wow, what a wise and understanding people, right? So when we're looking at, and again, I didn't mention anything of skin color or anything of the sorts. Like, skin color has nothing, like, I don't care about skin color, right? I care about the content of the character of people, right? And I'll be honest, when I look at the content of the character of the people who are by and large controlling society in Israel today, I don't see people whose content of their character is high, right? I see the character of a people whose content of the character is low, right? Now, you mentioned, because again, I went to Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 4, because it's clear that there are people whose souls are lifted up, right? Proud, right? There's a lot of people that have a lot of pride. And then it says that they're not upright, they're not righteous, right? We're called the children of Israel, right? The children of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, they were chosen to be, as the scriptures say, a light to the Gentiles, right? They were chosen to be above all nations, as it says in Deuteronomy 7 and 6, right? So that's why I'm asking, can anyone of any racial group, irregardless of their patrilineage, and when I say racial in that sense, Mordechai, I'm not talking about this social construct, just so that you're clear. I'm not speaking of this social construct that was created by so-called Caucasians. I'm talking about the ancient concept of race, right, which is common descent, right? So speaking of that, right, let's take a look here, right, in the book of Genesis, Bereshith, right? So Genesis 25:21 says, and Isaac entreated the Lord for his wife because she was barren, and the Lord was entreated of him, and Rebekah, his wife, conceived, and the children struggled together within her, right? So they were wrestling, they were fighting inside of the womb, right? And she said, if it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of the Lord. And the Lord said unto her, two nations, right? Two nations, right? We look at this word for nations, right? It's the Hebrew word goy, right? Two goyim, right? Right? Two goyim are in thy womb, and two manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels, and the one people shall be stronger than the other, and the elder shall serve the younger. Right? Obviously, Esau is the elder, right? And Jacob is the younger. And we know how the story went. Esau sold his birthright. Now it was time for Isaac to die, right? And obviously, because Rebekah knew this, she set it up so that Jacob would get the blessing, because the blessing comes with the birthright, correct?
Okay.
Do you agree?
I mean, there's a lot of discussions around it.
Okay. So when we look at that blessing, right, Jacob is to be, have all his mother's children worship and serve him, right? Bow and serve him, bend the knee, right? When we look at the Hebrew word for blessed, right? And the Hebrew word for knee, right? It's the same word, berek or barak, right? To bless is to bend the knee, right? So clearly there's a distinction between Jacob and Esau and their descendants that we see all throughout, Torah, we see all throughout the Nevi'im, right, the prophets. And I think that's very important. So when we're talking of clearly Israel, right, the descendants of the man whose name was Jacob and turned to Israel, they are a distinct people group. And we see clearly after Solomon's reign and the sins that he committed, that the Most High told him that he was going to split the kingdom, not in his days, but in the days of his son. And we saw that happen with Rehoboam, right? The situation with Jeroboam, when we see the split of the northern and southern kingdom. So now we start to see, again, Israel and Judah being spoken of as two separate entities, right? And of course, pursuant to Ezekiel the 37th chapter, that when the Messiah comes, he's going to bring them back together, and they're not going to be two separate kingdoms or two separate nations anymore. They're going to be one nation. Okay, so let's continue in Jeremiah 30. Right, it says, "For thus saith the Lord, we have heard a voice of trembling, of fear, and not of peace." Right, so Israel and Judah are afraid. It says, "Ask ye now, and see whether a man doth travail with child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins as a woman in travail, and all faces turned into paleness? Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it." Do you believe that this prophecy is being fulfilled today with what's going on in Israel, where people are afraid?
One of the points you mentioned in the beginning of the verse is a very important point to focus on, right? Because when we talk about Yaakov and Esav, right? You say Jacob and Esau, right?
Mhm.
When we talk about those two characters, they come from the same mother and they come from the same father,
Mhm.
right? And but both of them represent different spiritual qualities. And so what we need to understand is that God is using Rebecca to express that the spiritual qualities that come into this world, have nothing to do with genetics, has nothing to do with anything. It has just to do with the spiritual quality of souls. And so one person could have children and they could have children, three of them are very righteous and one of them is wicked, right? And it has a lot to do with the intentions and the focus that people have before they conceive a child, right? That plays a big part. But the point is just saying that we're talking about spiritual qualities, right? So when we talk about the different characters in the Torah, we're not talking about
Amen.
these individuals. These individuals did travel to different parts of the world and establish, environments, or the descendants did, right? And those descendants also carry many of those spiritual qualities as well. And so that's why analyzing the Torah from the soul perspective will allow us to understand how a person who comes from Rebecca and Isaac could turn out to be so wicked, and then at the same time having a brother who's so righteous. Because we're not talking about genetics or externality, we're talking about strictly about the internality, which is, based around the soul.
I got you. But it does say that even though they do have the same mother and father, right? It says, God says, two nations are in thy womb. The two different nations of people, and two manner of people will be separated from thy bowels. Two manner of people, right? I want to see what this word for this shanyam, right, which means two, right? La'im, right? So people, right? So la'im, right? People, two types of people, right? So there's two types of people that were in the womb, right? Clearly, one, as you said, one was righteous and one was wicked, right? So now, with that said, do you believe that what is happening right now, because you believe that the people that live in the land of Israel today, that they are physical descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, correct?
No, what I believe is that the people who are Jews are people who share the same type of soul as Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Some of them have a lineage that perpetuated the traditions from Mount Sinai. Some of the people didn't have a tradition of doing that. Some people got lost in the mix. But either way, all the people who find their way back to Torah have a specific, unique soul, and that soul is a similar soul of Abraham. And that soul who desires truth, that's willing to break the idols of their environment, willing to go on journeys to be able to seek out God, those are the people who are the spiritual descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, right? And even when you think about the idea of the people stood on Mount Sinai, it wasn't all just people who are descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Our tradition teaches us that many of the people who were descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob stayed in Egypt, and there were a lot that did leave, but also they were joined by the mixed multitudes, and the mixed multitudes were people that were living in Egypt that were not necessarily Egyptian, that were there doing trade and different things. So the people still on Mount Sinai was a compilation of descendants of Abraham and Jacob and the mixed multitudes that were living in Egypt during that time.
Okay. I had no problem with that, right? With the last thing that you said. The problem that I have is this idea that because someone has, as you were saying, the soul of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and in their, you said, return to Torah, right? The problem I have with that is twofold. One, the Ketuvim, right? Psalms, right? The 147th chapter, starting at verse 19, disagrees with that understanding. So it says, he showeth his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgments unto Israel. He have not dealt so within the nation, and as for his judgments, they have not known them. Praise ye the Lord. Right. So the other nations outside of the nation of Israel, right, the nation of Israel, which physically descends from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, they're the only ones that have been given God's word, right? The Torah, right? The prophets. Okay. So I have a problem with that idea that, you know, anyone, right, regardless of their descent, can return to Torah when Torah was only given to the children of Israel. Secondly, when we look at biblical prophecy, which I think is, when we look at this prophecy, really demonstrates the point that I've been making for quite some time. And, you know, we've had several conversations, Mordechai, right? That the people that live in the land of Israel, by and large, I'm not talking about obviously you, I'm not talking about the brothers in Demona, right? I'm not even talking about your ex-wife, right? I'm talking about, right, the Ashkenazim, right? I'm talking about the so-called Sephardim. I'm talking about the so-called Beta Israel. I'm talking about the people that are in the land of Israel today, by and large, that these are not physical descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, right? And this right here, I think, really cements that. So Isaiah chapter 2 and verse 1, it says, "In the word that Isaiah the son of Amos saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem, and it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain of the Lord's house shall be established in the top of the mountains, and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow unto it." Right. So obviously, this is when the temple is reestablished. Would you correct? Would you agree?
It doesn't have to be. I mean, it's a prophecy. I mean, it's not like, I mean, you can maybe make a connection, but you have to do it with humility. You can't say like, "Oh, I'm reading and this is what it means." You say it's a prophecy. Perhaps it could be connected to this.
Well, okay. So just regardless of whether you think it's happened, this because I don't believe this is happening right now, right? I don't believe that, and I don't think you do. But what I'm asking is, when it says that the mountain of the Lord's house is the temple, right?
You could be understood as that.
Okay, cool. All right. So when this comes to pass, the temple is established. Got you. And it says that all nations, right, called Goyim, right, shall flow unto it, right?
Okay.
It says, "And many people shall go and say, Come ye, and let us go to the mountain of the Lord, to the house of the God of Jacob." Right? So the God of the Bible is the God of Jacob. It says, "And he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall go forth the law and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. And he, Jacob, shall judge among the nations and shall rebuke many people." What does it mean to rebuke, Mordechai?
So, okay, so it's important what you're saying. So, number one, it's important to acknowledge when you're talking about the house of the Lord, right? The house of the Lord is it existed. The Temple Mount here in Jerusalem, which I'm a very big advocate for, existed. The basis of it existed, since the time of Abraham, right? When Abraham took his son on Har Moriah, for the sacrifice that didn't end up happening. But that, it goes all the way back to then. And even some sources even bring that the Temple Mount itself, is that area when Noah sends out a dove and he comes back with an olive, it was from that area because it never went. That's the idea, right? So the point is just saying that. So those are the connections. So when we talk about that, so in terms of that particular prophecy, the way that we understand that prophecy is that during the end of times, the nations of the world are going to see all the truth of the reality. God's presence will be greater in the world because the Jewish people went through, an aspect of repentance, and so God's light will be lighter and be greater in the world, and so the other nations will say like, "Wow, look at what God has done for Israel. Look what God has done for the Jews. We should go to this mountain and we should follow in the ways of Jacob," right? So in the future world, all the nations of the world are going to want to follow in the footsteps of Israel, and they're going to want to, emulate as much as we do in terms of the precepts of Torah that they're able to do. and from there, they're rejoicing. There won't be any more violence and fighting and all these things that the prophecy talks about.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. And I don't have an issue with that, right? But I, from what you said previously, right before I asked you about this, you said that, individuals who are not necessarily descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, they can have the spirits of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And I can't see that when the book says this, right? That they're going to come to us to learn of our ways because they're our ways. And the word, the Torah, right? The understanding, the law, statutes, commandments were given to us and us only. Okay. And God has not dealt so as of yet with any nation in that capacity. Right. So it goes on to say that he shall rebuke many people. It means that they're going to be getting things incorrectly, right? If you have to rebuke someone, that means that they're wrong, correct?
You would want to rebuke for the frame of helping, correction.
Okay, yeah, yakach, right? Yakach, right? It means to prove, decide, judge, rebuke, reprove, correct, right? So we have to correct them because they're going to get things wrong. It says, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. Obviously, there's war going on right now. Would you agree? So this is future, right? Right, Mordechai?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's prophecy, so we can't go through prophecy and say that's exactly what it means. You could maybe apply it, maybe it connects, maybe what you're saying binds in, but we can't take the approach that I'm reading it and this is what it means. It's prophecy.
Well, but I have to reject that ideology because prophecy becomes history once it's fulfilled. No.
Yeah, but we don't know when a prophecy is fully fulfilled. I mean, especially in our generation.
Well, you can speak for yourself, right? But like for instance, God told Abraham that surely your children are going to dwell in a land, right, for 400 years, and they shall be oppressed, and they're going to come out with great substance. Clearly, right, that happened, correct? The children of Israel sojourned in Egypt for a time, and over the course of time, they were enslaved and oppressed by the Egyptians, and they left out with great substance because Exodus tells us that they borrowed of the Egyptians, gold and silver and things of that nature, right? So that came to pass. It was spoken to Abraham before it even happened, and then it was fulfilled, correct?
I mean, even that, there's a lot of discussions on if it was actually the process of Egypt says 400 years. The sages say it was 210 years the Egyptians were there. The Jews were in Egypt. Some people say the Jews were never actually slaves, but rather they were like indentured. It's a lot of like it's not the Torah is not like this like clear like instruction manual. You know what I mean? There's a lot of meaning that has many variables throughout the ages. You know what I'm saying? So like, yeah, I mean, could you say that maybe, oh, well, some people say, well, when the whole situation Isaac started, that was the 400 years. So, like I said, there's a big discussion around it. It's not like
I
so
don't really
simple.
care
Like
about the
it's not.
timeline, more so of whether or not God told Abraham that his children would be in Egypt for whatever amount of time and that they would come out with great substance, right? They came out with great substance, right? The children of Israel came out of Egypt, correct?
So yeah, so that's the point. So
So it was
say
fulfilled, right?
no, but the point is just saying the question here would be: are we talking about Egypt in a physical sense, or are we talking about Egypt in like a mental sense, right?
Clearly, it's
Because
in a
the aspect that
they're coming out with great substance, Mordecai.
okay, but that could be great enlightenment too. It doesn't mean physicality all the time,
Well,
right?
here's the
Like I'm
thing.
saying, if I'm
The
saying
issue is when it came out. Like I've been doing some research, right? So ancient Egypt, right? They had this symbol called the Ankh, right? And
mm,
it's believed that the Ankh, right, is a reflection, right? Is a visualization of the longhorn cattle, right? That was indigenous. Oh, he dropped off. We'll wait for him to get back. Right. Let's see. King James and Sister Shelly Burke, the YAHAWAH and His for your super chats. Appreciate you. All praise to the Most High. Hey man. So yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah, I was listening. I was listening to you with the Ankh. The Ankh.
No, yeah, got you. Yeah. I was waiting for you. So, the Ankh, right? When you look at it's obviously it has like a circular shape, right? And then it's a line, and then there's two lines coming out perpendicular to that one line, right? And when you look at that, it literally is symbolic of the longhorn cattle that were indigenous to Egypt, right? And that many pastoralists who live in Uganda, a little further south from what's Egypt proper today, they have those cattle, and their names for those cattle have the word Ankh in it, right? So when the children of Israel came out of the land of Egypt, right, because in Egypt they were worshiping other gods, the children of Israel were worshiping other gods in the land of Egypt. And it's evident in the fact that when Moses went up to Mount Sinai to get the commandments, he comes back down, and we get Aaron to make two golden calves for us to worship, right? That's something that we learned obviously in Egypt. And the Most High God tells us in Leviticus 18th chapter, right, to not learn, right, don't do what the Egyptians do, right, and don't do what the Canaanites do when you get into their land. You look at their pantheons and their religious practices, they are similar to the Egyptians because those are their Hamitic brothers, right? But regardless of that, right, there is clear that prophecy has to be fulfilled. When it's fulfilled, right? Because if prophecy is not fulfilled, then the Most High God is a liar. And we know that he's not a man that he should lie, right? We know that pursuant to Isaiah the 55th chapter, right, that the word that goeth forth out of his mouth will not return unto him void, but it's going to accomplish all that he says, right? So when we're looking at Isaiah the 2nd chapter, right, where it says that we will rebuke many people, right, and that they're going to beat their swords and their plowshares into and their spears into pruning hooks, and that they won't learn war anymore. This is clear that this prophecy has not come to pass yet, because we see war right now. Now, with that stated, let's go back to Jeremiah chapter 30, right? In verse 7, it says, "Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it." Jacob's going to be saved. Great. Can't wait. It says, "For it shall come to pass in that day, saith the Lord of hosts, that I will break his yoke from off thy neck, and I will burst thy bonds, and the strangers shall no more serve themselves of him, but they shall serve the Lord their God, and David their king, whom I will raise up unto them." So obviously this is talking about the Davidic Messiah, correct? Would you agree, Mordechai?
Maybe.
Maybe it says, "And they shall serve the Lord their God and David their king, whom I will raise up unto them." Talk about the Messiah, right?
I mean, talking about David. I mean, David he played that role for his generation, but you know what I mean. Like, it's every generation in the in amongst Israel, there's different people who play that role, right? But there's the ultimate Mashiach who's going to gather all the exiles in Hitzel Aretz and outside of the land of Israel. He's going to bring those people to Israel, and then they're going to rebuild the temple, right? So that's the Mashiach, the Superman Mashiach
that
that
Mashiach is also
for.
called it's called a righteous branch unto David, right? Jeremiah 23 says that he's going to raise up a righteous branch unto David. Now, when Jeremiah prophesied this, David was long gone and dead, was he not? So he said, he spoke in future tense that the Lord God is going to raise up David their king, who he will, future tense, raise up unto them, them being the Israelites. No? So this is future, right?
The Mashiach is coming through the David.
We'll wait for him to come back. Wi-Fi is crazy. Iran probably jamming those signals right now as we speak. He'll be back, right? Go ahead,
Sorry about that.
No, it's all good, bro.
Yeah, yeah.
The Mashiach.
It's a wartime Wi-Fi. Wartime Wi-Fi. Go ahead.
You were speaking. You said that the Mashiach is going to come from what?
Through the Davidic, through David.
Okay,
David,
cool. So, Mordechai, why are you being so difficult, bro? Clearly, this is talking about the Davidic Messiah.
I mean, like I said, like I'm hearing what you're saying.
You don't have to disagree with me just to disagree with me, bro.
I'm not trying to. I'm just saying you want me to make commitments, and it's just like, we gotta, like I hear what you're saying as a perspective, but I mean, committing to it is saying that is the finite understanding of it, and I would want to reflect on it more before making
other
that type of decision.
Understanding could we glean from they will serve the Lord their God and David their king, whom I will raise up unto them? What else could we glean from that? What else? What would be the other possible outcome of that be?
Well, that's why we learn Rashi. That's why we learn many of the commentators. So we can say, like, okay, this is how I think about it, and it sounds 100% right, and I'm empowered by it. So let me look at the sages over the last 2,000 years in different eras, the greats of those different eras, and see what their reflections were on it. And then from there, maybe I have commonality. Maybe they point out things that I didn't even see. From there, I get more of a holistic understanding of what God is trying to understand by me just going off of my own, we call it svara, my own logic. That's nice, but it's also to be with people, to learn from people who are much greater than me in prior generations, and to see how their perspective and minds may match up, may not. I may read theirs and say, wow, I see it totally different. I don't see it that way anymore, right? So that's why we learn, that's why we have a tradition of learning these verses, and we build off of that tradition and have like clear insight.
Well, the problem I have with that is, one, Rashi is a French rabbi from who died in 1105, right, in France. When we look at biblical prophecy, Daniel the 12th chapter, it says that the book will be sealed, meaning the understanding will be sealed until the time of the end, right? But Rashi lived from 1040 to 1105. That's far from the time of the end. We're in the time of the end now, right? And it says that knowledge shall increase in the last. So I don't give a damn what Rashi said. Rashi don't know what the hell he's talking about, right? Because the Bible says it, right? The prophecy says it, right? But anyway, right? Let's continue, right? Verse 10. It says, therefore, fear thou not. So we started off in verse 4, right? In 5, where it says that, there is a voice of trembling of fear, right? And not peace. Jacob is not in peace. Jacob is not at rest. Jacob is trembling, right? Verse 10, God is encouraging Jacob and says, therefore, fear thou not. Do not be afraid. O my servant Jacob, saith the Lord, neither be dismayed, O Israel. For lo, I will save thee from afar, and thy seed from the land of their captivity, and Jacob shall return. So Jacob's going to return back to the land of Israel, correct?
It's what's happening now, yeah.
Okay, cool. It says, and shall be in rest. So when Jacob is returned and brought back to Israel, they're going to be in rest and be quiet, and none shall make him afraid. Mordechai, why are the people in Israel today, why are they afraid? Why are they not at rest? Why has there been constant wars since they stepped foot back, supposedly back into the land, a little prior to and after 1948? Why is it that they're not in rest? Why is it that they are afraid when God says that none shall make them afraid?
Yeah, when I hear that verse that you bring out, and again, I know you don't believe in the whole Rashi concept, but I'm just saying, you read a verse and you read it beautifully, and I'm hearing that verse, and now you're asking me to respond to that verse, and so I'm going to give my interpretation or my commentary on what we're talking about, which is great. This is the whole purpose of learning Torah together. However, the point is to say that when we incorporate other commentators, we're just expanding the conversation. We're not taking away from the authenticity of God or what God's vision for us or what God has planned for us.
I just want to know
All of
what you
that,
think. I want to know what you think, Mordechai. I don't care what Rashi or Rabbi, so-called Rabbi Shlomo this or Shlomo that. I don't care what they think. I want to know what you think because I'm having a conversation with you.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. I just wanted to substantiate and honor the sages in the discourse. But the way I look at it is that when more of the Jews keep Shabbat, which that's how I understand rest, menucha, when more Jews keep Shabbat, then the perception of fear of the other nations and their antagonism for us being here will go away. So it's more of a sense of a call to action of us being able to keep Shabbat the proper way, and the perception of enemies and the perceptions of all these things that we have will go away. If we don't keep Shabbat properly, we don't live by the way of the Torah, we will live in fear.
Okay, but the vast majority of the people in the land of Israel don't live by Torah, right? Tel Aviv, which has been getting bombarded, right? I'm glad you're not in Tel Aviv because listen, if you were in Tel Aviv, we might not be speaking right now, right? They have one of the world's largest LGBTQ parade, and clearly the Torah is against LGBTQ, right? That's called an abomination according to the Torah. No.
Yeah, the thing is, when we look at, and you being an expert on Tanakh and these types of things, you probably will agree with what I'm going to say. When we look at the history of the Jewish people, throughout the Tanakh, there were times when we were very righteous. There were times when we were very wicked. There were times when we professed God. There's times when we rebuked God. There's times when we believed in idols, as you stated earlier. So when you look at the dynamic of, say, homosexuality in the Jewish community, you have to really blame that on the non-Jewish world, right? When Jews picked up a lot of habits and bad characteristics from the non-Jewish world in many different areas. We're just talking about homosexuality in this area. And it's a way, it's a mechanism that takes man away from his purpose, which is to be responsible for a woman, to be responsible for a family, to be a sharer, to be like the creator, right? To procreate, right? To bring the image of God into this world. So when a man denies that by laying with a man, he's denying the whole purpose of creation, even though he may have a desire and it may be something he's passionate about, and I get it. But the point is saying this is a denial of God, and it's a denial of the purpose of creation, right? And that will only bring spiritual punishment to a person because they're separated from the source of light, right? So when we talk about the issue of people being gay in Tel Aviv, that's a byproduct of us living amongst the goyim, the other nations, and coming back to the land picking up many bad habits, right? So when you see a Jew, when you see a Jew acting out behaviors that are not in the Torah, it's not the Jew itself, it's rather the Jew learned these habits from the non-Jews that he or she was around.
Okay. So hold on. But again, it says that he's going to save, right? He's going to save Jacob, right? He's going to gather them, right, from the lands of their captivity. They shall return. They shall be in rest, right? And that word for rest is not Shabbat, right? It's shakwat, right? It's the word shakwat, rest, quiet, right? It says, where are we at? Oh, my bad. Go back to Jeremiah 30, right? It says, they shall be at rest, right? Shakwat, and be quiet, and none shall make him afraid. Here's the thing, Mordechai. When we look at, for instance, Deuteronomy chapter 30, right? Deuteronomy 30, and let's tie that in, right? Deuteronomy 30 says that it shall come to pass when all these things come upon you, the blessings and the curse that I set before thee, that thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations, whither the Lord thy God have driven thee. So while the children of Israel are scattered, they're going to remember, they're going to call to mind that, oh, snap, we're going through these curses that I'm reading about in the Bible, in the Torah, right? This is my reality. And they're going to say, oh, wow, if I'm living like this because of X, Y, Z, let me make the change so that this can change for me, right? It says, and thou shalt return unto the Lord thy God and shalt obey his voice. So before being returned, right, the adherence to Torah, the obeying of his voice, according to all that I commanded this day, thou and thy children with all thine heart and with all thy soul, that then. So we're getting a sequence. This happens, then this happens, then this happens, then this happens. You are scattered, right? You receive the blessings and you receive the curses. Part of the curses is you being scattered from the land of Israel, right? Driven amongst all the nations, right? Where you're worshiping gods of wood and stone and this, that, and third, right? You're at the bottom, you're not at the top, right? You're just going through hell, right? Then you're going to remember, going to call to mind that, oh, snap, we're the Israelites. We're going through the curses. Then you're going to return and you're going to teach your children to now obey the voice of the Lord your God, right? So it's blessings, curses. Part of curses, scattering, remembering oneself, right? Returning and obeying God, right? According to all that I command thee, right? It says that then the Lord will turn thy captivity, will redeem you, will bring you back, will return thy captivity, right? Will turn thy captivity and have compassion upon thee, and will return and gather thee from all the nations where the Lord thy God hath driven thee. If any of thine be driven out unto the outmost parts of heaven, and from there will the Lord thy God gather thee, right? From thence, and will fetch thee, and the Lord will bring thee into the land which thy fathers possessed, and thou shalt possess it, and he will do thee good. He will multiply thee above thy fathers. You mean to tell me that since the so-called Jewish people have come to the land of Israel, a little prior to 1948 and after, that they've been multiplied above their fathers? You mean to tell me, right, these people, right, are able to come to the land of Israel and still be doing abominable things like engaging in LGBTQ, right, in Tel Aviv, in mass, right? The vast majority of the people in Israel do not keep Torah. You mean to tell me that they're the children of Israel, that they're the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, when God says that the children of Israel will be scattered and will return after they obey his voice? That's what you're telling me, Mordechai?
Yeah, it's a component because we started the discussion talking about the soul, right, and how there's a spiritual soul that has this connection in here
The law is spiritual, Mordechai.
The what?
The law is spiritual.
Okay, I'm saying that the soul that's inside the person has an intelligence around it, right? Just like the body has an intelligence, right? And so God gives us commandments so we can subjugate the body to the soul's will, right? In essence, right? Because the soul's totally spiritual. My point is to say that when you talk about like say for example, if you travel to China, right? They speak. I'm assuming, I could be wrong, but I'm assuming you don't speak Mandarin fluently. So I would imagine like if you went to China and there you go. And so the thing is, it's saying so if you went to China and you wouldn't be able to talk to people, right? Or like if say someone came to you and presented you the most amazing business opportunity, but they were speaking in Mandarin, you wouldn't be able to understand them, right? So my point is saying that the people who connect to the Torah are people that have a soul that understands the language of God, right? And so when we talk about people returning, being Hispanic, Black, Native American, all the things, all the external identities that you guys are, all the externalities that you tend to focus on, is still behind that are the people who are sincerely connected, are souls that are driven for truth, right? And the more that we focus on this dynamic of the soul and the soul's dynamic for truth, then we will understand the lost exiles. When Mashiach comes and he gathers the lost exiles from around the world and other places, we're going to see that what's going to make those people respond is their soul. It's not ethnic identity, it's not geographical, it's not DNA. It's a unique soul that God placed inside of that body that has a desire for God. And
Mordechai,
Mashiach
when
should
did
bring
I
that.
say anything about racial identity? Right? Like you keep bringing that up, and like I haven't spoken of skin color, things of that nature. I'm simply looking at thus saith the Most High God. Right? You call him Hashem, I call him Yahawah. I'm simply reading the words that he commanded the prophets to write plainly upon tables, upon paper, right, for our reading, so that we may understand. Right? I'm clearly reading these things, right, and I'm using my deductive reasoning and my soul, right? I'm using my soul, which is my mind, right, to be able to cognitively decipher what it's saying. It's saying very plainly that in order for you to return, you have to obey God's voice. It says, you shall return unto the Lord thy God, right? When we look at Leviticus, the 26th chapter, God says, if you walk contrary to me, then I will walk contrary to you, right? Us not keeping the commandments is us departing from the Most High God. Us returning and following what he told us to do is us returning to the Lord our God and obeying his voice, us and our children. And then he's going to return us from the lands of our captivity, gather us from wherever we've been scattered, right? Bring us back to our land, multiply us above our fathers. I keep asking you questions, and you're going so far off, right, with your answers from what I asked you about. We're talking about the soul again. I asked you very plainly, are you telling me that these people are the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and that they've been multiplied? Because as it says right here in verse 5, that they have been multiplied above their fathers? Is that what you're telling me? Yes or no?
Yeah. So on that point, it's not about Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in terms of their descendants, because we established on Mount Sinai there was also mixed multitudes. So we're saying that the people who are Israel today are descendants of the people of Mount Sinai, right? Those are the people still on Mount Sinai. Those are the descendants that we.
The curses are only put on the children of Israel. The curses are not put on anyone else.
Okay, but
the returning, and again, we already read that the Torah, right, that the law, statutes, commandments were only shown unto Jacob, unto Israel, and that God has not dealt so with any nation, whether they were mixed multitude or not. They were not given the laws of God. Obviously, they're dwelling with us. If you're dwelling in our land, you have to follow our rules. The same way if I went over to, let's say, Iran, right? If I went to Iran, I would have to follow the rules and regulations of Iran. If I go to Brazil, I have to follow the rules and regulations of Brazil. But we're not, but that those laws are for them. The same way that the Torah, which is the law, right, in the Constitution for the nation of Israel, is for them. It's our light, right? It was revealed unto us, and the other nations, as we already read in Isaiah the 2nd chapter, they have to come to us to learn of our ways, and we'll have to correct them over the course of time, because they're just not going to naturally get it. We will naturally get it because according to biblical prophecy, we will be under the bond of the new covenant, where we won't even have a capacity to break the commandments. So, but again, when we're looking here at biblical prophecy, it says clearly that in order for the children of Israel to be returned and multiplied above their fathers, right, and possess the land, they have to willingly return unto the voice of the Lord their God, and obey his voice and do his commandments. And that is going to be the catalyst of their return. It's abundantly clear. Let's continue. It says, and the Lord thy God will circumcise thine heart, your mind, right? And the heart of thy seed, your children, to love the Lord thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul, that thou mayest live. And the Lord thy God will put all these curses upon thine enemies and on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee. So clearly this has not happened, Mordechai, right? Right? This process of the children of Israel returning and obeying the voice of God, that is indeed happening, right? But them being returned and brought back to the land, that has not happened. And it's clear because God says in Jeremiah chapter 30 and verse 10, therefore fear thou not, O my servant Jacob, say the Lord, neither be dismayed, O Israel, for lo, I will save thee from afar, and thy seed from the land of their captivity. Again, that's contingent upon their returning to obeying him, right? It says, and Jacob shall return and shall be in rest and be quiet, and no one, lo, right, right, shall make them afraid. Why is it that the people that live in the land of Israel today, right, the Ashkenazim, the Sephardim, right, the so-called Beta Israel, right, all of these people, why are they afraid? Why are they fleeing to Cyprus? Why are they not at rest? Why are they at war?
Yeah, so okay, so the thing is that just to answer the first point that you brought on the verse of this idea of them returning, keeping the Torah, and kind of going into a new reality, right? And so, like, our tradition teaches that, and again, you keep saying don't talk about the soul, but it's very important, especially in this context that you just brought up. Our tradition teaches that the soul that we have inside of us has 613 parts. And these 613 parts.
Okay.
Okay. And so these 613 parts are the basis of the structure of the human body, which has 248 limbs and 365 like organs and tissues and arteries, whatever, these types of things, right? And so the dynamic is that the soul and the body fit like a hand in a glove, right? Because the soul, in essence, every aspect, every limb, every artery, every organ of the body is an expression of the soul, right? That's what the human body is, right? And so the God's presence in this world, the Shekinah, right, also has 613 parts. So when a person keeps the Torah, right, he's connecting that part of the body. He's connecting that part of the soul with the part of the body and then with that part of the Shekinah. There's certain commandments that we keep, like learning Torah or Shabbat, that allows us to fulfill all the precepts of the Torah in one shot, which means is that our entire soul and our entire body in the presence of God are all unified in this reality. So when the Torah is saying here that when a person, recognizes that they're a Jew and they keep the Torah, they bind themselves to God's presence and they remove themselves out of whatever oppression or difficult situation that they were living in.
Mordecai, my brother, I don't know what any of that had to do with what I just asked you, right? Or what that has to do with what we just read plainly on paper. God says that when the children of Israel, Jacob, the literal descendants, Beni Yisrael, right? That when they return unto the land, that they will be at rest. Have the Israeli people been at rest since 1948? Yes or no? I just want a yes or no answer.
That last part, because it broke up for a second, I apologize.
No problem. I said, the children since 1948, right? Have the Israeli people been at rest? Yes or no?
Yes.
How have they been at rest when they've been at war?
The war is like it's an illusion. The Jewish people, they're back in the land. We're back in the land,
How is that?
and
the illusion
and
is
that
that
gives
they're not
that brings
God, they're not the Israelites.
that. What? No, but we're at rest. We're finally at home. What do you mean? You think we're at rest in Germany? You think we're at rest in
Mordechai,
Iran?
you told me that you thought that you were going to die.
Yeah.
Again,
but I'm at peace. I'm at home. I'm at peace.
Were you afraid? Were you afraid when you saw that? Those drones?
I was ready to die.
Were you afraid? Were you afraid?
It's an honor. I was an honor. It's an honor to die in Israel as a Jew.
Okay, watch this. I got something. Watch this. Right. So let's. I want to play something real quick. Right. So I want you to tell me and be honest. Are these people afraid? Right. The people that I'm about to show you. Right, guys. If you haven't, right, follow me on Instagram at Lion of Yahawah. Right. All right.
Okay.
So
but okay, can we put in context though?
Huh?
I was going to say I'm going to watch it. I'm just saying the point is just saying expressing what you would understand as fear does not mean a person is not at rest, at peace, because they're at home, right? Like you have your house. There's moments that things happen with kids, family, whatever, the building, the structure, stuff that may invoke an aspect of fear. But the fact you're in your house is an aspect of peace. But go ahead.
How is that? If someone's invading my house and trying to kill me, I'm not going to be at rest in my house. I'm going to be on defense. I'm going to be very afraid. God says that none shall make him afraid. The him being Jacob, the children of Israel. None shall make him afraid. Why are the so-called supposed children of Jacob, why are they afraid? And I want you to tell me whether or not these people, right, that I'm gonna show right here, is this guy afraid? Are these people afraid?
I beg you, stop it. No, Iran, we don't want more blood. Please.
That wouldn't scare you, Mordechai? Would that scare you?
Hey man, I'm living in there. What are you talking about?
Is it scary? Is it scary, Mordechai?
It's not scary in the sense that you're saying it. You see what I'm saying? Like, I mean, yeah, there's a thing. I mean, it's a thing.
Oh, wait, Mordechai, wait. Is this guy afraid? Was he afraid just now? Was that guy afraid?
I mean, maybe. Maybe he was. I don't know.
Why is he
America.
afraid when God says none shall make them afraid?
I mean, you can't. You have to understand that. You know, the thing is the same. Like having.
Afraid, Mordechai? Are these people afraid?
Not like no. They're required to protect their lives. It's not like
was that little girl afraid?
That you're saying.
Mordechai, is that little girl afraid?
Man.
Mordechai, be real with me. Morty, be real with me. Are these people afraid?
Come on, bro.
No, you come on, bro. Are these people afraid? Yes or no?
No, not in the way you're saying it. They're just going to a bomb shelter. Their lives are at risk. What do you mean?
Why are their lives at risk when God says that none shall make them afraid? That they will be at rest. How are you at rest if your life is in danger?
That's the power of Israel. When you are in the land of Israel, your life can be in danger, but the depth of the connection to your soul and the land brings you a peace that overrides any difficulties that you experience, and you experience a rest that you can't imagine within yourself.
Mordechai.
It's peace.
Like, who's paying you, bro? Who's paying you to say
But
this stuff?
what? Why is it that anytime an African American male thinks freely outside of what we would call black spaces, that he has to be paid? He can't have independent thought. He can't have his own creativity. He can't
You talk
adventure
about
around the world. He
stages.
can't.
Hold on, no, Mordecai. You cannot have your cake and eat it too. You cannot have it both ways. You told me, right, that you want to honor the opinions of the sages. Your opinion is based off of other people's opinions. What are you talking about, bro?
No. My opinion takes into account other people's opinions that I have deemed and give power, that have had levels of elevation of consciousness that I have not achieved, and I can learn from their perspective, just like I can learn from my own
Mordecai,
father's
the people that
perspective
you talk
and
about are
others.
not the children of Israel. They're the children of Edom. All right. They are who the Bible calls the basis of human beings. They're who the Bible calls the residue of the Goyim. Their opinions about the Torah, about our heritage, about our culture does not matter, because God did not show his word unto them. And you're proving, right? And the people that you're defending, they're proving each and every day that they are not these people. They are not Jacob. They are Edom. They are Esau. They are Amalek. That's who they are, right? Let's go to Ezekiel, the 36th chapter, right? Check this out. It says, also, thou son of man, prophesy unto the mountains of Israel, and say unto ye mountains of Israel, hear the word of the Lord. Right? I'm gonna jump down to verse 4 just to save a little time. It says, therefore, ye mountains of Israel, hear the word of the Lord God. Thus saith the Lord God, to the mountains and to the hills, to the rivers and to the valleys, to the desolate wastes, and to the cities that are forsaken, right? Which became a prey and a derision to the residue of the heathen, right? I want to see what this word for residue, right? I'm going to make a shirt, right? I'm going to make a shirt, and I'm going to put a residue, all right? Shar Ahrayahla Goyim, right? I'm going to make a shirt with that, right? And I'm going to put the faces of these people, right, on these shirts, right? I'm going to put these people's faces on it, because this is the residue of the heathen, right? It goes on to say, that are round about. So they're on the land. It says, therefore, thus saith the Lord God, surely in the fire of my jealousy, God is jealous, God is mad. I have spoken against the residue of the heathen and against all Idumea, right? Edom, right? Edom. He's speaking against Edom, which have appointed my land into their possessions with the joy of all their heart, and with the spiteful minds to cast it out for a prey. Prophesy therefore concerning the land of Israel, and say unto the mountains, and to the hills, and to the rivers, and to the valleys, thus saith the Lord God, behold, I have spoken in my jealousy and in my fury, because ye have borne the shame of the heathen. The land of Israel is being defiled by the heathen, by the Goyim, right? Therefore, thus saith the Lord of God, I have lifted up my hand. Surely the heathen that are about you, they shall bear their shame. I think what we're seeing right now, this is the Edomites bearing their shame for stepping foot in God's holy land and claiming it for their own, right? That's what's happening right now. That's shameful. It's shameful that the amazing Iron Dome is misfiring, and the missiles that should be knocking missiles out of the sky are falling back onto the land and blowing stuff up. I've been watching this stuff, bro. I've been watching it. Let's continue, right? It says, therefore, thus saith the Lord God, I have lifted up my hand. Surely the heathen that are round about you shall bear their shame. But ye, O mountains of Israel, ye shall shoot forth your branches and yield your fruit to my people of Israel, for they are at hand to come. So at the time in which the children of Israel are getting ready to return to the land of Israel, it's going to be a time when the Edomites, the residue of the heathen, that they are in the land, defiling the land, and bearing their shame. That's what we are witnessing right now, Mordecai, right? This is shame. Bibi Netanyahu, right, launched a strike on Iran, right? attack them and then try to cry wolf and cry, oh, defense. Threw rocks, right, and tried to hide his head and say, oh, they're throwing rocks at me. Well, you threw a rock at them first. And now these people are bearing their shame. They're running and fleeing to Cyprus instead of standing in the land of Israel. Why are they afraid? You don't flee somewhere if everything's all peace and quiet. But they're not in peace and quiet. Why, Mordechai? Because they are not the children of Israel. They're not, bro. And the fact that you can't see that, the fact that bro, you need to get up out of there, bro. Because listen, you very well, I don't listen, bro. Clearly we have difference in ideologies, right? But you're my brother, and I love you. And I don't want nothing bad to happen to you. You need to get on the first plane that you can, right? You need to get on the first plane that you can to get up on out of Israel, bro. Come back to America, right? Listen, America about to get destroyed. You need to come join House of Bread, right? We'll get you right. You know what I mean? Start keeping the Torah, right? Get you out there. We preach to our people, have them come and return and keep the commandments. And you know what I mean? Listen, listen. We the children.
Well,
of Israel,
I just want to say.
Say what?
So I just want to make a couple. I will make a couple points. So Israel's involvement with Iran in this conflict is not just like a random occurrence. Iran declared war on Israel on October 7th, and it did it through its military militia in the south of Israel that's referred to as the Hamas Brigade. It's a division of the Iranians. Also, you have another group, in a different part of Israel in Lebanon called Hezbollah, which is also a brigade battalion of Iran. They're in Lebanon, and they've been firing hundreds of rockets as well, thousands of rockets at Israel since October 7th. And then you have a group in Yemen, which is called the Houthis, which is another brigade of Iran that's also been firing missiles as well. So Israel, if they would have addressed Iran originally, they would have been fighting all of them at once. So Israel took out all of its enemies, and like the Godfather, right? And he took out all their enemies, and then they went after the head of the snake. That was Iran.
So
right?
Why do they need
now
America's
the thing
help?
about Iran not being nuclear? Why did what?
Why does Israel need America's help? And let's not talk about nuclear. Israel has nukes. You ever heard the same?
The issue isn't about nukes. Yeah.
So what's the Samson initiative or plan? Yeah. What's the Samson plan for Israel?
But let's go step by step, right? So the thing is, and I have to go because I think there may be missiles coming soon, like any minute, right? So I got to go. We're going to, we have a bomb shelter in my place. But the point is just like this. We'll say like, the point we'll leave like this is to say that your understanding, right, about the sages of Israel and the ethnic, and the diversity of sages from Europe, from Spain, from Africa, from just all around the world, even America, right? This comes from a philosophical approach of externalities. So the souls that came down in France, or the souls that came down in Germany, or the soul that came down in Africa, or in Igbo land, or in Beta of Israel, all these different souls that came down. And so now those souls came down and they came to fulfill a purpose, right? And it just so happens that God put them in those realities. But when we negate wisdom and we say, oh, well, this person's from that and they're from this nation because of this environmental thing, we're doing the same exact thing that people did against us as African Americans. And many of us are descendants of Igbos who are, Israelites, right? That came through the transatlantic slave trade. So when we do that, and we don't explain the fact that after all the captivity, after all the abuse, we still found our way back to Torah. And we don't have any, we don't have as much of a clear history in that regard. Then it's like, when we take that position on other people, we're basically arguing against ourselves, right? So we have to see the world through the lenses of soul. That's what the Mashiach is going to see all of the people of the world by their soul, and he's going to say, oh, well, this person's in this nation and this person's not in that nation, right? And so that's an important perspective to have as an analytical approach going forward, Because if we focus on externalities, we can miss out on a lot of brilliance and a lot of genius and a lot of wisdom that can improve our lives. And it could be also a form of white supremacy.
Mordechai, you love
But I
using the
gotta
word.
go because I think we may have to. Huh?
All right, bro. All right, bro. Be safe, man.
Do I love what?
I said be safe, bro.
I appreciate it.
Shalom.
I appreciate it, man. Stay out.
Love you, bro.
Shalom. Shalom.
Like, bro, are Mordecai is dead serious too. This man, right, tried to fake the funk as if he's not afraid. He's about to run to a bunker, to a bomb shelter. Listen, the group Outkast had a song called "Bombs Over Baghdad." There are bombs over Israel right now. And he tried to play like he's not afraid. He has to go to a bomb shelter. Why would you have to? Okay. When we look at the biblical prophecy, right? Let's go back to Jeremiah 30. Actually, we can go to Jeremiah 46. Jeremiah 46. It says, I'm going to start at verse 25. It says, the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, saith, behold, I will punish the multitude of No, and Pharaoh and Egypt with their gods and their kings, even Pharaoh and all them that trust in him. I will deliver them into the hand of those that seek their lives, into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, into the hand of his servants, and afterward it shall be inhabited as in the days of old, saith the Lord. Right? It says, so he's going to be given Egypt into the hands of Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, and into the hand of his servants. And after that happens, because that part happened already, it says, it shall be inhabited as in the days of old, saith the Lord. Right? Egypt will be inhabited as in the days of old. Right? Egypt is a barren desert right now. Right? But it says, but fear not thou, O my servant Jacob, and be not dismayed, O Israel. For behold, I will save thee from afar off, and thy seed from the land of their captivity, and Jacob shall return and be in rest and at ease, and none shall make him afraid. Now, Mordecai is Jacob. The only reason why he's afraid right now is because he's not a servant of the Lord, right? And because he's in the land of Israel when he's not supposed to be there. He got on a plane and went there, right? When we read Deuteronomy chapter 30, it says that the Lord will gather you. The Lord didn't gather him when he purchased that plane ticket, right? Benjamin Direwolf, Genesis 49:27, thawadath, Barakath, Yahawashi, shanyam-ishar for your gracious donation, King. Appreciate you. So big salute, Shar Ahrayahla. We can see, please set up a formal bill with Avdiel Ben Levy, aka Zion Lex. Mordecai, you know this man. Keep that same energy. Let's go. Oh, so you're asking me to set up a debate between Mordecai and Zion? I never met Zion. I don't know the brother, but I know of him. But listen, man, I would love to see that. I would love to see that because Zion knows a lot about the oral traditions and whatnot. I don't care about none of that Talmud nonsense. I don't care about none of that, right? I care about the law and the testimony. Because if they speak not according to this word, it is because there's no light in them. Great precept, Brother Quadazat, right? Jeremiah 16:19, the Gentiles shall come unto thee from the ends of the earth, and shall say, surely our fathers have inherited lies, vanity, and things wherein there is no profit. right? There's no prophet in Judaism. There's no prophet in Christianity, right? There's no prophet in Islam, right? The only prophet there is in the Torah, is in the so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, right? The children of Israel here in the Western Hemisphere, and the vast majority of the children of Israel who've been scattered all over the world, them returning, keeping the commandments, keeping Torah, maintaining faith in who the world calls Jesus Christ, Hamashiach Yahawashi, who is the Davidic Messiah, right? That is what's going to get us deliverance, right? Listen, scriptures talk about how my servant shall eat, but ye shall be hungry. My servant shall shout for joy, but ye shall tremble, right? I'm gonna get that in a second, right? So, Sister Jewess, right? Just so you know, the word nice etymologically means stupid, right? And yeah, there may be some nice Gentiles, but they're all going into bondage according to biblical prophecy, right? And some of them realizing that we are the children of Israel, that doesn't really matter, right? Because when we look at, I saw that you mentioned Hosea 1 and verse 10, right? It says in that verse that it will be said unto them in the place where it was said unto them that ye are not my people, you are the children of the living God. So the place where we were told that we are not the children of Israel, that we're not God's people, was in the land of Israel. So until we are brought back to the land of Israel and we are glorified, right, and we are beautified and we are exalted in the sight of the nations, right, when the Most High God prepares a table before us in the presence of our enemies, right, and our cup is running over, that's when they're going to recognize. They're not going to recognize by and large until that happens, right? So let me just check the chat, right? Actually, let's continue. Where was I? Yeah, let's just check the chat real quick. Over there. She's the tab says, I have a friend over there who is terrified too. Why our people keep going over there? Shaking my head. Again, the Lord said, I'm spewing you out of the land. Right? The scriptures talk about how the land swallows up nations, it swallows up men. What would I debate Zion on, brother Benjamin? What would I debate him on? He believes in Yahawashi, right? He believes that we have to keep the Torah. But what would me and him debate on? Well, Jay, he's not secular, right? Mordechai keeps Torah to the best of his ability, right? He wouldn't be secular. Listen, nothing but dry deserts and races. Like it doesn't make sense. You're right, Sister Tessa. He listen. He might. If I'm not mistaken, I heard that they are. I heard that they are stopping people from leaving. Right, not a lot of flights are flying out. Do I know if Mordechai doesn't know anything? It's clear. Love the brother, right? If he knew who Edom was, he would understand that the people that are living there right now, that they're Edom, that they're not Jacob. They're Esau's kids, right? So yeah, my servants shall eat. Watch this. Isaiah 65. Ooh. Oh, damn, this is all good. All right. Let's start Isaiah 65 and verse 8. It says, thus saith the Lord, as the new wine is found in the cluster, And one saith, destroy it not, for a blessing is in it. So will I do for my servants' sake, that I may not destroy them all, right? Obviously, all of Israel, we're God's chosen people, but of Israel, right, of the actual descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, only a remnant, right, are actually serving him, right? We read about in Zechariah, 13, that 2/3 of our people will be cut off in the land. And the 2/3 is not talking about America. It's not talking about Babylon, for the record, family, right? That's happening in the land, right? It says, I will bring forth a seed out of Jacob and out of Judah, an inheritor of my mountains, and mine elect shall inherit it. Mine elect, right? Bakayar, right? That's that word, right? Bachayar, right? My chosen, right? Chosen, right? Goes back to the Hebrew word bachar, which means what? To choose, right? So we're right now, right? Had to throw it on, right? Because the brother Mordachai is in Jerusalem, right? We got the Yerushalayim University, right? Got that hopeful elect, right? We got these right here at Perpetual War Shop. Actually, let me plug that real quick, right? Perpetual War Shop, right? Got the bread on cream, Yerushalayim University, right? Man, the black joint right here, man. That joint right here. What? I mean, let's listen, tap in, family, right? So it says that mine elect, right? We're of the hopeful elect, right? We're hopeful to be elected, to be chosen of God, to be that chosen remnant, right? And us being that chosen remnant is contingent upon our obedience to the Most High God's law, statutes, commandments, right? Anyway, right? It goes on to say, and they shall dwell there. Okay, dwell where? His mountains in the land of Israel, right? Zion being the chief, right? It says, and Sharon shall be a fold of flocks in the valley of Achor, a place for the herds to lie down in, for my people that have sought me, for my people that have sought me. The issue with Mordechai is that he's seeking the knowledge of our God from a people that are furthest away from God. Let me say that again. The issue with the brother Mordechai is that he's not seeking God, right, properly. He's seeking God from the lens of a people that are furthest from God, right? A people that God has not shown his word unto, right? So let's continue, right? This is why we have to seek him, right? It says, but ye that it says, but ye are they that forsake the Lord, that forget my holy mountain, that prepare a table for that truth, and that furnish the drink offering unto that number. Therefore will I number you to the sword, and ye shall all bow down to the slaughter, because when I called, ye did not answer. When I spake, ye did not hear, but did evil before my eyes, and did choose that wherein I delighted not, right? Now, what does the Most High God delight in, right? Let's go to the book of Baruch, right? Barawak, right? In the ancient tongue, right? Barawak, chapter 4, right? And verse 1. It says, this is the book of the commandment of God and the law that endure forever. All they that keep it shall come to life, but such as leave it shall die. Turn thee, O Jacob, and take heed of it. Walk ye in the presence of the light thereof, that thou mayest be illuminated. Give not thine honor to another, nor the things that are profitable unto thee to a strange nation. The issue of Mordechai is that he's literally seeking this thing that was only given to Israel. He's seeking it from the strangest of nations. He's seeking it from the people, right, that God told Rebekah, right, would be separated from Jacob, right? 2 nations are within thy womb, right? And the elder shall serve the younger. He's going to his elder brother who's supposed to be serving him, right? But he's serving them and following their opinions about our heritage. when they are the rejects. It doesn't make sense, right? Listen, so I'm worried about him too. It's like, bro, like Mordechai, snap out of it, bro. Snap out of it. So let's continue, right? It says, "O Israel, happy are we, for things that are pleasing to God are made known unto us." The things that are pleasing to God have been made known unto us, right? What's pleasing or delightful to God is us keeping his laws, statutes, commandments. That's what it means to seek him, right? I've been seeing videos all on, actually, I think my wife sent me one. Let me find this, Joe. Watch this, right? Let me pull this up. Listen, one thing Negroes gonna do, man, is they're gonna make light of some things. It's funny. Watch this. I'm about to copy link. Watch this. Going to TikTok.
Something to do with this shit. We ain't got nothing to do with it. And Trump, why is you announcing this shit to us like we got something to do with this shit? We ain't got nothing to do with it. Stop fucking talking to us thinking that we with you. We not with him. We don't fuck with him. He don't fuck with us for real. Trump, why? Why, bro? Why you carry your ass over there fucking with them folks? God damn it. I already told her they been telling us it's your last motherfucking presidential run, bitch. Don't come over here with this bullshit. Take your motherfucking ass over there with that bullshit. I already been showing they ain't fucking playing. They mean business. They standing on what the fuck they talking about. Trump, why did you take your ass over there and bomb them people? I already know. We ain't got shit to do with it. If you want the address, I promise you. If y'all got an iPhone, Apple Maps, said motherfucker, it's nothing. Quick, bitch. Android, my grandma got one. I can hold her shit, send that shit to you real fast. It's nothing. I'm only 20. We in World War III. Like, I'm so motherfucking lost. Like, what is going on in America right now?
Listen, man. Our people, right? Our people. I've seen countless videos like this, right? Countless videos like this, and I'm gonna just be honest. I'm gonna be honest with my people, right? I'm the type of nigga that loves to say, "I told you so." I love it. I don't know why, right? But I'm just the type of nigga. I love telling niggas, "I told you so," right? And the reason why is because, like, I spent the last 6 going on 7 years of my life, right, standing on street corners, trying to pull my people out of the fire, right? Trying to show my people the way, right, to get delivered from the impending doom, right? All the things that Hebrew Israelites have been on street corners professing and prophesying, right? That America, which is Babylon the Great, is going to get enthralled in World War III, in the which America is going to lose the place that we call home. America is Babylon the Great. In the Bible, the book that our people just don't want nothing to do with, right? Prophesied thousands of years ago that we would get kicked out of our land, that we will go and dwell in a field, right? We will get taken from there and brought to Babylon, right? And from there, we will be redeemed. But the ones that will be redeemed are the ones that seek God and keep his commandments. Our people fill the Christian churches. Y'all fill them pews each and every week. Some of y'all, right? Y'all seeing me Christians, right? Y'all pop up to church on Christmas, Mother's Day, and Easter, right? And honestly, I think y'all got a little bit more sense, right? I got a little bit a better chance. But the vast majority of our people pack them pews each and every week, giving pastor all their tithes and offerings, which is that's a law. But you don't got to keep the other laws. They teach you, don't keep God's laws, but give me your tithes and offerings, right? We've been telling y'all for decades, that America, Babylon the Great, is going to lose World War III. and will be destroyed. It's going to happen, right? And every single thing that we've been prophesying about, right, is coming to pass, right? You would, as the scriptures say, you would none of my reproof, right? Let's get that real quick, right? None of my reproof. Watch this. Proverbs chapter 1. Oh, man. I'm going to start at verse, damn, this is all good, right? Because we come out here to give our people the wisdom, right? Give our people understanding, right? And the laws of God is our wisdom and our understanding in the sight of the nations, right? So Proverbs chapter 1 and verse 20 says, wisdom crieth without. She uttereth her voice in the streets. Israelites have been on street corners uttering the wisdom, right? Telling you to keep God's commandments, telling you to return to the Most High God and to maintain faith in who the world calls Jesus Christ, Yahawashi, who died for us and us only, the children of Israel. It says, she cried in the chief place of concourse, right? We post up every week between a Ross and a liquor store. Our people going in and out of the Ross, going in and out of the liquor store. We're in the chief place of concourse, right? It says, in the opening of the gates in the city, she uttered her words, saying, how long, ye simple ones, when you love simplicity, and scorners delight in their scorning, and fools hate knowledge. Turn you at my reproof. Behold, I will pour out my spirit unto you. I will make known my words unto you. Because I have called and ye refused, I have stretched out my hand, and no man regarded. But ye have set at naught all my counsel, and would none of my reproof. Right? So I said, listen, I'm the type of nigga I love, right, telling a nigga I told you so. Right? Well, the Bible says that. Let's continue. It says, I also will laugh at your calamity. I will mock when your fear cometh. When your fear cometh as desolation, and your destruction cometh as a whirlwind, when distress and anguish cometh upon you, then shall they call upon me, but I will not answer. They shall seek me early, but they shall not find me. Right? Why? For that they hated knowledge and did not choose the fear of the Lord. We've been trying to tell you niggas to get right with the Most High God. Understand that you are the children of Israel, right? You so-called blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans. You are the children of Israel. You have to return and keep God's commandments and have faith in his son, Yahawashi, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, right? So it says right here in Isaiah chapter 65, right? Where are we at? Boom, 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 boom. Right? Verse 12. It says, therefore I will number you to the sword, and ye shall all bow down to the slaughter. Listen. Our people, right? The vast majority of them, listen. It looks like this sister is of, she's of the let's see. We see what type of time this sister on, right? If this sister don't repent, right, she gonna die. She gonna die. Point blank, period. Right? And all of our people who are in that lifestyle, all of our people, right, who want to sell drugs to their own people, right, who want to sleep with the next man's woman, right, who just want to jug and finesse and just destroy our people. You Negroes are going to die, right? You Latinos, right? Y'all are going to die, right? A lot of people, some people say, well, why are Israelites not really talking about what's going on with the ICE situation like that? Honestly, it's better for our brothers and sisters of the Northern Kingdom to get out of America. At least they have a chance to get brought to the wilderness and given an opportunity to get down with the get down, right? But all of our people who've been raised in Babylon, right, who've internalized the ways of Babylon, of America, right, and you niggas don't want to listen, right, you're going to die. Not because I said so, because the Most High God said so. It says, therefore, thus saith the Lord God, behold, my servants shall eat, but ye shall be hungry. Because right now there's talks, right? The Iranian parliament they just came to the conclusion that we need to close down the Strait of Hormuz. Put a one in the chat if you know what the Strait of Hormuz is and how important that is to the global supply chain. Let's talk about it. Right, Brother Ruben. Right, Brother Ruben. Right, Brother 111 Cinco. Right. So, damn, there's a video, man. Oh, dang, it's a video that actually, I wish it was just an easier way to find the videos that you like on Instagram. It's a pain about your activity. Watch this. Let me find it. Let me see if I can find it. Watch this, family. Watch this. Right. Let's get into it, right? Let's get into it.
If the U.S. launched an airstrike on Iran, it would likely target nuclear facilities, missile sites, and military command centers. Stealth bombers like the B-2 and F-22s would lead the attack, supported by Tomahawk missiles from U.S. Navy ships in the Gulf. Iran would likely try to close the Strait of Hormuz, where 20% of the world's oil flows. Oil prices would skyrocket, possibly hitting over $200 per barrel in days. The global stock market would crash and energy prices would spike. NATO would be forced to respond and invoke Article 5 if U.S. or allied assets in Europe are attacked. France and the UK would likely send warships and prepare for possible joint strikes on Iran. Domestically, America would face political chaos and a deep economic shock as fuel prices would soar, potentially reaching $8 to $10 per gallon. Grocery costs would spike due to supply chain disruptions. The cyber attacks on U.S. banks, energy grids, and even airports could cause mass panic and outages nationwide. The U.S. would be fighting a foreign war while managing chaos at home. What if the United States...
Now, if not, right now, it's not a matter of what if. They already did it. Right? They already did it. So, again, Iran already said, listen, the parliament said that, listen, our conclusion is that, listen, we need to close the Strait of Hormuz, right? And it's up to the Ayatollah, right? The supreme leader of Iran, right? Ayatollah Khamenei, right? Let me tell you something. That's one of the coldest titles I've ever heard. The supreme leader. That's a cold title, right? But listen, we got the true supreme leader, right? The King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, Yahawashi. He's coming back, right? Very, very soon, right? He's about to take all the crowns of all the kings of the earth, right? So, right, when we look here, right, at this analysis, when them oil prices skyrocket and gas is $10 to $20 a gallon, and that disrupts the supply chain, your food's gonna go up. Niggas gonna be hungry, right? All the chaos is going to ensue in America. Why? Because Trump got into office on the platform of America First, right? Of him being an anti-war president. His base, MAGA, is going to lose their ish. They're going to go crazy. Someone says, look at this. Look at this comments. Trump did this. MAGA did this. MAGA didn't sign up for that. MAGA did not. Listen, MAGA, they do not want all these wars. They don't. Right? Someone says, I will never forgive Trump voters. Right? And a lot of Trump voters are, bro, they're so mad. They're upset with him. So all of the chaos that's going to happen in America, right? All the turmoil that we've been talking about, there's going to be race wars, right? We already see that happening with the ICE situation, right? This is just a hodgepodge. This is a ticking time bomb. This is a clusterfuck that America has found itself in. Her sins have mounted up to heaven, and the Most High God will not allow her to continue anymore. Right? Let's go to the book of 2nd Ezra chapter 15. Right, and we're gonna jump back into this. We're gonna jump right back into Isaiah the 65th chapter. Man, I love the Word of God, man. So 2nd Ezra chapter 15, in verse 1, it says, "Behold, speak in the ears of my people the words of prophecy, which I will put in thy mouth, say the Lord." Right now, when we read chapter 9, right, it says that we have to measure thou diligently the time within itself. Right? It says, "He answered me and said, measure the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs pass, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made." Right? "Therefore, when thou shalt see, there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world." We see uproars all over the place. Just last summer, there was an earthquake here in Philadelphia. Philadelphia doesn't listen. I've experienced 2 earthquakes in my life, and each time that I experienced those earthquakes, know where I was in Philadelphia. Right? The first one happened in the summer of 2011. It was my last summer vacation. Right? And I came down to Philly to help my best friend move into her apartment over at Temple University. Right? And we were just chilling, right, in the kitchen, and we felt we're like, hold on, is the house shaking? Like, oh snap, right? I was in this very room last year when that earthquake hit. I'm like, oh, so I called my wife, I'm like, yo, you felt that? Right? So this stuff has been happening, and we've been telling our people for decades that this stuff is happening and will continue to happen, and you better get right with the Most High God. Right? Let's keep reading. It says, "Then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning." That's the beautiful thing about prophecy, right? Prophecy is spoken before events come to pass, right? It says, "For like as all that is made in the world hath a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest." It's manifest that we're in the end times, right? Not many Christians I've had conversations like, "Oh, that's well in the future. That's a long time from now." Oh, they've been saying that. Okay, right? Cool. Let's go. It says, "Even so, the times also of the highest have plain beginnings, and wonders, and powerful works, and ending and effects and signs, and everyone that shall be saved and shall be able to escape by his works and by faith whereby ye have believed." I thought it was a faith-based salvation. You ain't got to do nothing. All you got to do is just believe in sweet Jesus, right? It says, "Shall be preserved from the said perils, and shall see my salvation in my land." How many Christians talk about, "Oh, I'm saved. I'm saved"? What are you saved from? Yahawashi says, he that endureth until the end, the same shall be saved. Right? And here we see salvation, right, happens when we're in God's land and within his borders, right? It says, "For I have sanctified them from the beginning, for me from the beginning. Then shall they be in pitiful case, which have abused my ways, and that have cast them away despitefully, shall dwell in torments. For such as in their life have received benefits and have not known me. And they that have loathed, that hated my law, while they had yet liberty. And when as yet place of repentance was opened unto them, understood not but despised it. The same must know it after death by pain." Right? Our people, right? Again, going back to Proverbs 1, going to laugh at your calamity because you would none of God's reproof. We've been sent out, right, to reprove our people, to show our people that we are the Israelites and that we have to keep the law, statutes, commandments. When you niggas are going through all this hell and this turmoil, right? Y'all gonna be running around like chickens with your head cut off, right? And I'm gonna laugh. I'm gonna laugh at you niggas. Sorry, not sorry, right? Let's go back to 2 Ezra chapter 15. It says, behold, speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy, which I will put in thy mouth, saith the Lord, and cause them to be written in paper, for they are faithful and true. We're reading, right now I'm reading off of digital paper, right, on a computer screen, right? But I can very easily get my Bible and read this, right? Not this specific one. This one doesn't have the Apocrypha. I can read my HIB, my Hebrew Israelite Bible, right? Get yours today, HIBofficialzion.com, right? And I can swing over to 2nd Ezra, right? I can swing right on over to 2nd Ezra, right? Watch this. Right, yeah, first. I swing right over to 2nd Ezra, the 15th chapter, on nice 30 paper. You know how your Bible got that thin ass paper? This is on thick, right? I can go right here in paper and read this, right? It says, and cause them to be written in paper, for they are faithful and true. Fear not the imaginations against thee. Let not the incredulity of them trouble thee that speak against thee, right? When our people, right, talk all this ish, right? Oh, y'all look like Power Rangers, this, that, and third, blah, 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 right? Cool. I don't care, because you niggas don't believe. I don't care. You put no fear in my heart, right? I don't care. I don't fear your imaginations. Brother Benjamin Direwolf, Genesis 49:27. The water, Barakath, YAHAWAH, basham, Matawathya for your other gracious super chat. It says, you are a reincarnated prophet of old. Yahweh bless you. Keep crying aloud and sparing not. Big Slow King. All praise to the Most High King. Shalawam. Love you, bro. Right? So it says, for all the unfaithful, verse 4, for all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness. Behold, saith Yahawah, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction. For wickedness have exceedingly polluted the whole earth, and their hurtful works are fulfilled. Is it not Pride Month right now? That's wicked. That's pure wickedness according to the Torah, right? It says, therefore, saith Yahawah, I will hold my tongue no more as touching their wickedness, which they profanely commit, neither will I suffer them in those things in which they wickedly exercise themselves. Behold, the innocent and righteous blood crieth unto me, and the souls of the just complain continually, right? Like the brother said, right? He says, continue to cry aloud, spare not, right? The book of Isaiah says, those that make mention of the Lord, give him no rest. Give him no rest. Let me get that real quick, right? Give him no rest. No rest. Watch this. Isaiah 62 and verse 7. Actually, I'm sorry, verse 6. It says, I have set watchmen upon thy walls, O Jerusalem, which shall never hold their peace, day nor night. Ye that make mention of the Lord, keep not silence, right? You that make mention of Yahawah, right? I don't see no Yahuwah niggas. I'm gonna just keep it, but I don't see no Yahuwah niggas on the street corners prophesying. I don't see it, right? But I see brothers who are standing stiffly for the name of Yahawah, all right? YAHAWAshi, right? I see brothers out on the street corners week in and week out, right? It says, and give him no rest till he establish, until he make Jerusalem a praise in the earth. That's all I want. I just want for so-called blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans, right? The children of Israel, right? Jerusalem, Zion, right? To be a praise in the earth instead of being a derision, right? Instead of being a proverb and a byword, right? In a curse among the heathen. I I'm tired of that being our reality, right? So I do exactly what the scriptures say that the servants of the Lord will do. They will cry aloud, they will spare not, they will lift up their voice like trumpets, right? They will continue to make mention of the Lord and not give him rest until he established us as a praise in this earth, man, right? So let's go back to 2 Ezra chapter 15, right? It says, verse 8, it says, I will hold my tongue no more as touching their wickedness, which they profanely commit, neither will I suffer them in those things which they wickedly exercise themselves. Behold, the innocent and righteous blood crieth unto me, and the souls of the just complain continually. And therefore saith Yahawah, I will surely avenge them, and receive unto me all the innocent blood from among them. Behold, my people is led as a flock to the slaughter. I will not suffer them to dwell in the land of Matawathya, the land of Egypt. But I will bring them with a mighty hand and with a stretched out arm and smite Matawathya, smite Egypt with plagues as before, and I will destroy all the land thereof. Now, one thing that we got to understand is that biblical prophecy, specifically Revelation 11 and 8, it says that Babylon is spiritually Sodom and Egypt, right? Now, when the Lord says that he's going to destroy all the land of Egypt, right, he's not talking about ancient Egypt, because part of the land of Egypt, right, which entails everything from the east of the Nile, right, is the promised land, right, that he promised to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob. And the children of Jacob never had control of all of the promised land. And the Most High God is not a man that he should lie, nor a breaker of covenants, right? So this is talking about America, right? Babylon the Great, right? It says, I will bring them with a mighty hand, with a stretched out arm, and smite Egypt with plagues as before, and I will destroy all the land thereof, right? Egypt shall mourn, and the foundation of it shall be smitten with the plague and punishment that God shall bring upon it, right? They that till the ground shall mourn, for their seed shall fail through the blasting and hail, and with a fearful constellation. Woe to the world and to them that dwell therein, right? A fearful constellation, right? What are constellations? They're signs in the skies, right? Yahawashi said, right, in Matthew 24th chapter, right, that the sun shall be darkened, the moon shall not give her light, and the stars of heaven shall fall. That's a fearful constellation, right? If you guys haven't, right, did a live about, I don't know what this is, right? Did a live 5 days ago, Amos 8 and 9. Will God make the sun set at noon in 2025? It could very well happen this year, right? So, right, this lines up with 2 Ezra chapter 15, where he will bring plagues upon the earth, right? What were the plagues of Egypt? It says turning the Nile River to blood, right? There's rivers all over America that turn red. Swarms of frogs, lice, flies, pestilence on livestock, right? They just stopped 2 Chinese foreign nationals, right? The FBI, that is, stopped 2 foreign nationals from introducing this fungus, right? That would wipe out our livestock and would have wiped out our crops. It says boils, right? When we read about Revelation, right, in the last plagues in Revelation, the 16th chapter, if I'm not mistaken, right, that a gruesome and noisome sore will fall upon all they that take the mark of the beast, right? So now, right, looking back at this situation right here, right, we already know it's not a matter of if. America has already attacked Iran, right? Iran closes the Strait of Hormuz, right? Oil prices skyrocket, right? With oil prices skyrocketing, food is going to skyrocket. There was just talks that there are Al-Qaeda sleeper cells all throughout the country. It's going to be utter chaos here in America, right? Babylon cannot stand. In America, Babylon is so divided, Yahawashi says the kingdom divided against itself cannot stand. So this place is divided. It's going to fall. It's going to crumble. All praises to YAHAWAH, basham Yahawashi, Matawathya Yasharahla, right? So when all of this happens, right, and your groceries, listen, a bag of groceries right now costs $100, $150, one bag. Imagine how expensive it's going to be when them oil prices go up and the food prices go up, right? Guess what? Them plagues, right? So what was the other plague, right? It says darkness and death of the firstborn sons. Well, guess what? There's going to be, the Most High God's going to bring darkness upon America, right? The sun shall be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars of heaven shall fall, right? As Yahawashi said, they're going to be, listen, they're going to be afraid of this fearful constellation. Woe, destruction to the world and them that dwell therein, right? So America is getting ready to be destroyed, right? It says, for the sword and the destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up to fight against another. Race wars and swords in their hands. And right now, niggas got switches, right? Esau got AK-47s, AR-15s, right? They got 223, they got 5.56, right? They got all types of, they got carbines and all types of stuff, right? And they out there training, right? They're out there training. They got militias. You think niggas gonna have a chance against these white boys with these weapons? Y'all are going to lose, because Esau's blessing is the sword, right? It says, for there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. Martial law, right? Forget martial law. You're going to have all out chaos and anarchy going on, right? It says, for because of their pride, the cities shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. This is what's coming to America. This is what's coming to America. And all of our people, right? This, our sister right here, right? Our sister of the LGBTQ community, right?
And Trump, why is you announcing this shit to us like we got something to do with this shit?
Listen, yeah, I want to see how all the dykes gonna be. How they gonna hold it down when all hell breaking loose, right? All right, is a brother by the name of Super Ray 14K, right? Brother is hilarious, right? And he been going back and forth with the dykes, because the dykes are talking about, they 100 dykes versus 100 niggas. We gonna win? Bitches out of your goddamn mind. Y'all out of your goddamn mind, right? But I would love to see, right, how these sisters gonna hold it down, right? When all this shit come to pass, I want to see, right? Listen, the woman gonna come right up on out of you, right? Right? Bye nigga, bye nigga, bitch, right? She's gonna be soft and dainty in that day, right? All the tough niggas, right? Who spinning the block on their ops that look just like them, right? With switches and whatnot, niggas gonna be crying like bitches in that day, right? So let's go back to Isaiah chapter 65. It says, I'll start at verse 12. It says, therefore I will number you to the sword, and ye shall all bow down to the slaughter, because when I called, you did not answer. When I spake, you did not hear, but did evil before my eyes, and did choose that wherein I delight not. Right? And Yahawashi says, how will I liken this generation? It is like those, and let me just get it. I don't want to butcher it, right? How would I liken this generation? They're piped unto thee. Right? Let's go to the book of This is what Matthew 11, right? Matthew 11 in verse 16, it says, "But whereunto shall I liken this generation? It is like unto children sitting in the markets and calling to their fellows and saying, We have piped unto you, and ye have not danced. We have mourned unto you, and ye have not lamented." Right? There's so much to unpack right here, right? It says, we have piped unto you. We've been singing this sweet song, right? And Lord willing, right, we'll be able to sing that song of Moses that only the elect will be able to sing upon deliverance, right? And ye have not danced, right? You're not getting jiggy to this shit, right? You're like what's the nigga name, right? Michael Blackston in Next Friday. I can't get jiggy to this shit. We tell our people, yo, we the Israelites, we're God chosen people. We got to keep the commandments of God. Oh, I can't get jiggy with this shit. That's how our people move, right? It says, we have mourned unto you, right? I have been in front of this camera. I've been on street corners. I've witnessed brothers on street corners, literally mourning, crying, sighing unto our people. Like, how long are we going to continue to do the same things over and over and over and over and over again, expecting different results? Right? It says, and ye have not lamented. Our people are getting gunned down in the streets at our own hands and at the hands of our enemies. We are fucked. Black and brown people are doomed unless you come back and keep the Most High God's law, statutes, commandments. That's it. That's the only way. There's no other way. There's no other way of our liberation. Listen, reparations. You niggas think that white America is going to give you niggas reparations? You've played yourself. The Most High God is going to give us reparations. Their service, their blood, their sweat, their tears. That's going to be our reparations, right? He will choose Israel, right? Set them in their own land, and the stranger shall cleave unto the house of Jacob, and we shall possess our oppressors in the land of the Lord, right? So let's continue. It says, therefore, thus saith the Lord Yahawah, behold, my servants shall eat, but ye shall be hungry. Behold, my servants shall drink, but ye shall be thirsty. Behold, my servants shall rejoice, but ye shall be ashamed. Behold, my servants shall sing for joy of heart, but ye shall cry for sorrow of heart, and shall howl for vexation of spirit. And ye shall leave your name for a curse unto my chosen. For the Lord Yahawah shall slay thee and call his servants by another name. Right? The Most High God has been slaying us. Right? We've been relegated to the terms of Black, Afro-American, Hispanic, Latino, Native American, Indigenous American, right? Native Indian, right? We've been relegated to these proverbs and bywords, right? We have not been called, we've been called everything but a child of God. We've been called everything but sons of Israel, which we are. But guess what? His servants, we gonna eat. His servants, oh, we gonna drink. His servants, oh, we are going to sing for joy. While our people, right, like this sister, right, they're crying. Listen, there's so many of our people, right, on like, Iran. We don't listen. That's them, not us. Listen, leave us alone, right? They're over here copping pleas to Iran, like these damn Elamites give a damn. As far as listen, have y'all not read? Have you not read Bin Laden's manifesto? He said, listen, the American people got to pay too, right? Because y'all put these people in power. Right? You niggas talking about, oh, vote, man. Fuck all that voting shit, bro. That it has never worked. It's never worked. And this is why I say niggas are insane. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting a different result. I know voting doesn't work. I know the American system is not broken. I know that it's working exactly how it's designed, right? It's working perfectly fine, right? So listen, we're gonna sing for joy, right? Listen, I'm talking to brother. I'm like, yo, bro, like this is everything we've been waiting for. We are happy. The servants of the Lord, right? The people who actually seek the Most High God and keep His commandments, we are happy. I literally, right? Again, get your Yahawashi University Hopeful Elect shirts, right? Perpetualwar.shop. Link is in the description, right? We got the Isaiah 47, sit in the dust, O thou virgin daughter of Babylon, right? Sit in the dust. We got the Matawathya ball, right? The Matawathya ball, death to Babylon, right? Like we want this. We want this to happen, right? We want the prophecies of the Lord to be fulfilled. Because guess what? If they're not, then we're going to continue to be here in Babylon. We're going to continue to be relegated, right, to second-class citizens, right? We're going to continue to be the first fired, the last hired. We're going to continue to be subject to the school to prison pipeline. We're going to continue to be relegated to food deserts. We're going to continue to be relegated to redlining. That's going to continue to be the reality for our people. The only way that we are going to have any modicum of peace and safety and ease is if we return and keep the Most High God's laws, statutes, commandments, right? Maintain faith in who the world calls Jesus Christ and Yahawashi, right? And endure until the end, right? Then we will be delivered, right? We will be put back in our own land, right? And all the heathen round about will come to try to subdue us. But guess what? We got the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords on our side, who has been empowered by his Father, right? The Most High God, the Ancient of Days, right? The Most High God, YAHAWAH is his name. If God be for us, who can be against us, right? But the issue is our people do what the Most High God delights in. And because you have not done and chosen to do his delight, you will be numbered to the sword, right? You will all bow down to the slaughter, and you're going to die. It just is what it is, right? But what I'll do, I'll take we're at about 2 hours and 22 minutes in. I'll take a couple questions for about another 8 minutes. Bring it out. Listen, everything, right? Everything, man. My brother Quadazabalo, right? My brother, bro is heavy into prophecy, right? And he had made a post, and he says, God was right. The Hebrew Israelites just gave the message. That's it. God has always been right. The Hebrew Israelites have been the messengers, right? And you niggas were not hearken to the messengers, right? What's that? Second Chronicles. Misused prophets, right? Watch this. Second Chronicles chapter 36, and I'll start at verse 15. It says, and YAHAWAH God of their fathers sent to them by his messengers, rising up betimes and sending, because he had compassion on his people and on his dwelling place. The Most High God continually sent the prophets to warn Israel, hey, stop, cut it out, or the Most High God is going to judge you. Who cares what you're talking about, Jeremiah? Who cares what you're talking about, Isaiah? Daniel, who? What? Man, listen, fuck Edo the prophet. Like, who's this guy? Listen, who's it? King Ahab? He said, "Oh, I don't want to listen to Micaiah because he always prophesies evil against me. Maybe it's because you're doing evil, stupid nigga. Maybe that's why. Maybe if you actually did the right thing, right, there will be good in your future. But no, our people think that they can continue to do the wrong things and get rewarded. Get good rewards. You're gonna get rewarded, right? You're gonna get rewarded with destruction, right? It says, but they mocked the messengers of God and despised his words and misused his prophets until the wrath of the Lord rose against his people till there was no remedy. There's no remedy. There is no remedy for our people, right? Honeymoon Stitch, Shalawam. I'm not sure if that's a brother or sister. Shalawam, right? Any questions, family? Any questions? I'll be taking questions right now. Questions for the next about 5 minutes or so. Great point. Ain't none of that. Ain't none of that gonna profit you, right? So Emily raised this question: what if we don't have a camp or school near us to join? Then we try to keep the laws as best we can, even though we can't get into a school. Is there any chance we can still be saved? Right? As long as you're keeping the laws, statutes, commandments, right? Maintaining the faith in who the world calls Matawathya Yasharahla, right? You can be delivered, right? Now, I would say this, right? Brothers, right? And again, not every brother is going to be a teacher. And this is why, like, I just don't understand why niggas just can't get off the couch and go do the work, right? You don't got to be a teacher, right? You can go out and you could hand out flyers. You can go out, right, and hold posts, right? If there is a camp in your area, right? You can just hold posts. You can read, right? You can be on camera. There's so many different functions of the body, right? If you're not able-bodied, right, you can support the organizations who are on the front lines doing the work, right? If you guys want to support House of Bread, right, here's our Cash App, right? So you don't have to necessarily be a part of a school, right, or a camp in order to be saved. I'm gonna tell you, there's gonna be a lot of niggas who are in camps who are not going to be saved, that are gonna die, right? Many are gonna say, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in thy name? And in thy name cast out many devils? And what's Yahawashi gonna say? Depart from me, ye that work iniquity. I never knew you. Like, who's this nigga? I know a few niggas that there's a few niggas that I could think of who gonna be on that list. A few niggas, right? Why? Because Yahawashi says, if you break the least commandments and you teach men, so you shall be called least in the kingdom of heaven. When Yahawashi returns, he's telling the sheep, receive the kingdom prepared for you from before the foundation of the earth. So if you're called least in the kingdom, that means you're not going to inherit the kingdom. There's going to be a lot of your favorite people, right? Your favorite teachers and leaders, and right, who are going to hear, I never knew you, ye that work iniquity. Right? And I still got to do that video on the difference between sin and iniquity, all right? Because there is a difference, right? You can't have iniquity without sin, right? Iniquity is just a higher level, right, of sin, right? So let's see if there's any question. When will we get them bars? Oh, you're talking about me hopping on the track, bro? I don't know, right? if the Lord moves me to. Let me tell you something. Every song that you ever heard me on, I didn't write that, right? The Holy Spirit wrote that, because that's not my natural gift. But all praise to the Most High King. So will the wicked amongst us also get taken unto the wilderness, or will they die here? Right? They're going to die here in Babylon, right? Right? Those who take the mark of the beast, they're going to die right here in Babylon, right? What I would suggest is watch the video that Deacon and Hassad just did not too long ago. Let me go Priest Genesis. Shout out to the brothers of Genesis. Shout out to my brothers Masada. Shout out to my brothers the Refiner. Shout out to my brothers Amara Shah, right, up in Detroit, right? Shout out to them brothers, man. Right. So what video is it? Let's go to those lives. Watch this video. The Lake of Fire is not America, right? Watch this video, right? I would suggest to watch that video. Says, what if we don't have a school in our area or make it so when we try our best? Yes, I think I already answered that question for Sister Emily. Ruben, are you talking about House of Bread? Are we in the Bay Area? No, we're not in the Bay Area, but we should be. Actually, let me go. I'll give you the link real quick. What's this? House of... Watch this. So if you go to House of Bread camp page, right? Brothers, we'll be reaching out to you, brothers, very shortly, right? So here is the link to here's a prospect intake form, right? We should be reaching out to brothers very, very shortly within this week, to get brothers, part of the coursework and getting on the streets and doing the work, right? So it's best if I learn online, even if Emily, where are you, Sister Emily? Where are you? What city are you in? Right. Regardless, right? Keep the commandments, right? Regardless of whether you're in listen, you don't have to be in a camp, right? To be in a school to keep the commandments, right? Listen, I know brothers who don't have a camp name, but they go out on the streets and they teach the word, right? They do the work, right? Sisters, your job ain't to be out on the street corners teaching people and doing the work, right? That's not your job. You got it easy, right? Just be a princess, a daughter of Zion, right? Keep the commandments, right? If you have a husband, honor your husband, love your husband, right? If you're a mother, be a good mother to your children, right? Be nurturing, right? Be loving, right? Of course, discipline them, right? And raise them in the right way. And for Sister Emily, you can actually fill out this form, right? You can go to House of Bread camp, all separated by underscores. And you can fill out this this sisterhood intake form, right? So no other questions, right? Did I miss any questions? Any questions that I miss? Right. All praise to the Most High, the real GOAT. All praise to the Most High. All praises. All right, family. But with that, I'm going to give all praises, all glory, all honor to the Most High God, whose name is YAHAWAH. Of course, I do so in the name of His only begotten Son, Hamashiach, Yahawashi, of the world, inwardly called Jesus Christ. Till next time, I pray you brothers were edified. Shalawam and Matawathya Yasharahla.